Hi, this is Patrick Henry, the CEO of GroGuru, and I'm here with the GroGuru Executive Team. We just wanted to provide an update on what's been going on with the company, especially over the last couple of years with COVID and getting through, the COVID storm, as I call it. We continue to not only survive, but we're starting to thrive and grow the company again, despite kind of the headwinds that we faced over the last couple of years, especially in 2020. We resumed growth in 2021. We're now raising a new funding round on WeFunder, and that's going well. We're excited about it. But for those of you that haven't met the team, we're just going to go around the horn here and do quick introductions. David, why don't we start with you?
Thanks, Patrick. I'm David Sloan. I'm the chief agronomist with GroGuru. I've got a PhD in agronomy, based in St. Louis, Missouri, but I started out in the cotton fields in Australia. I've been living and working in the US for the last 13 years.
Jeff?
Jeff Campbell. I have a PhD in physics, and my specialty is the WUGS aspect of our business. I developed that and continue to support that. I'm also a co-founder of the company.
Farouk?
Hey folks, I'm Farouk, co-founder of GroGuru. I had engineering here at GroGuru. That's my role. Hey Vince.
Thank you, Farouk, for passing the baton. This is Vince Ferrante with GroGuru, and I run our sales and our field technical teams. And I'm located in Central California.
All right. So thanks for joining, guys. David, I think we'll start with you. Why don't we talk a little bit about just what's going on in the marketplace right now, kind of what you're seeing from farmers. I know that there's been a lot of challenges with fertilizer and fertilizer costs and availability, and commodity prices are up. So that's been a good thing from the standpoint of, corn and soybean prices, but obviously input costs have gone up too. And what are you hearing directly from the farmers about kind of what the market's like right now?
Well, thankfully, 2021 was a year that farmers actually started to make some money again. Prior to that, commodity prices have been pretty low. Been doing it a little tough in the Midwest, but 2021 turned around. Started out dry, but it ended up being a pretty good year for most farmers. That said, the money that they're starting to, or that they made, they're having to plow back into fertilizer and a lot of other input costs. So everything's gone up. Fertilizer has gone up by 2 to 3 times the amount in the last 2 years. And then chemicals and other things are in short supply. So farmers they just can't really catch a break, but we're starting to certainly see some people looking ahead to what should be a good couple of years with commodity prices being up right now.
Yeah, I mean, can you maybe, or you or Vince, touch on that a little bit in terms of where that means that GroGuru value proposition is even more important in terms of input cost savings and crop yields?
Sure. Well, as you know, what we can do, farmers tend to waste a lot of fertilizer through over irrigation. And so what they're doing by putting on too much water is actually washing it through the soil out of the root zone, takes it deep into the groundwater where you actually have problems with nitrates accumulating and things like that. So, I mean, fertilizer is just too expensive to waste. And so that really adds to the value proposition of what we can bring to farmers. And we're starting to see that impact. So, that's a great thing. The other thing is, by not washing it out of the root zone and putting it through the plant, you're actually going to grow a higher yield. So it's a win-win. You're losing less, you're saving the environment, and you're also producing higher yields. And so we can really tune things up and get them going in the right direction.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I mean, the other thing I want to touch on too is that in late 2020, the company had an opportunity because, I mean, COVID obviously hurt a lot of companies in our space, in the startup space in general, but in the ag tech startup space and specifically around strategic water management, a lot of the things that we do from a smart farming perspective. And some of our competitors went out of business, some were bought by other companies. And some of our potential customers and dealers that had worked for some of these competitors that either got bought or went out of business approached GroGuru at that time, and they had some legacy hardware that they installed in the field, but not a great software solution. So they actually approached us about, our software as a service, which we call GroGuru InSites, that we had been deploying on our wireless underground system, our WUG system, and said, hey, are you guys willing to provide your software as a service on our legacy hardware, predominantly Centec soil moisture probes and AgSense Valley irrigation telemetry? And we said, sure, we can do that. So we developed an API agreement. And Farouk, why don't you touch a little bit on kind of what that means from a technical standpoint, doing an application program interface support of different solutions. And then Vince, maybe you can touch a little bit on some of the opportunities that we got as a result of that, specifically CSS Farms and some of the things we're doing in the market.
Yeah, so what that involved is pulling the data collected by hardware installed by other companies and then applying the insights that we have learned from our machine learning algorithms, etc. Remember, GroGuru has collected a lot of data because we have deployed our own hardware, and we have had a lot of insights based on analyzing this data. So we could apply the same insights to the hardware, to the data collected by this hardware from other companies, and provide the data to the farmers who have installed this hardware of third parties, provide the same insights in a very easy to digest fashion for the farmers. So that was a win-win situation for everybody concerned. The farmers who are using the hardware from these third parties, the third parties themselves, and of course GroGuru, because we could provide our services to make it all easy for everyone.
So really from a user standpoint, then the farmer, they don't care if they have the wireless underground system hardware or the third party hardware, the Centec probes or AgSense telemetry or Zensio telemetry. The way that they're seeing the data is the same regardless, because they're using GroGuru InSites. Is that correct?
That's true to a large extent, although the recommendations would be much more precise if the farmers would also use the wireless underground system, because the wireless underground system, we can collect data. The farmers don't have to worry about it, but we can collect data from the fields of the farmers 12 months a year, 24/7, 365 days, as they say, as opposed to the data collected by some of these other companies who don't have the WUG system. In fact, nobody has the WUG system other than GroGuru currently. So with the GroGuru hardware, the recommendations will be much more precise, but we could use the learnings that we have with our own data and apply it to the data collected by this non-WUGs hardware that the farmers already have. So they definitely get a better recommendation, but not as good as what they would get if they had the GroGuru WUG systems installed.
Okay, so kind of a common look and feel and better data than they would get, better insights than they would get otherwise, but still not the full potential that you unlock with permanent install with wireless underground system.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Vince, can you touch a little bit about kind of how the customer receptivity has been around this strategy?
Yeah, I think it's a awesome strategy that we came up with by being able to not only, well, what typically happens is that people will have hardware in the field, and other companies want to own the hardware, they want to own the software, and it's all new installs for customers, and there's a lot of capital expenditure up front. Well, what we've been able to do is offer to use some of their existing systems, or like Patrick had mentioned, if somebody already has a Centec drill and drop probe with Centec telemetry in the field, we can just API that data back and we can be the software provider for them. So it's allowed us to go into regions and bring on high value dealers in different regions, primarily in Texas, Kansas, up into Nebraska. But these dealers don't have to just start from ground zero with GroGuru hardware. They can use our hardware, which we'll continue to discuss. The WUGs, or the only people on the planet that can do things wirelessly through the ground. But if they have existing hardware, existing telemetry, existing radios, we can take that data and we can become a software provider for them. And we have a lot of customers that have a mixture of data. And some of the beauty is, if I'm looking at my app on my phone and I have GroGuru hardware running GroGuru software, or if I have somebody else's hardware with our software, the user just sees it all in one place. They don't have to log into multiple spots. So it's a really good it's a good approach to allow us to add a lot of value to dealers that already had some existing hardware in the field, and they can continue to use their older hardware. So,
and if I can just add to that, with CSS Farms, big national potato company, they're growing right across the country, 10 or 12 different states, and they had some power users of soil moisture sensors over the years, but they'd evolved on different strategies, different hardware. And so the guys up in the Pacific Northwest, up in Washington State, doing something different to the guys in Nebraska, and doing something different to other parts of the country. And they wanted to get all on the one platform. They couldn't share data. They couldn't basically get on the same page. And that's what we were able to bring to them. We were able to bring to them a universal system with our GroGuru InSites. So all the farms all look the same. It doesn't matter what's going on as far as hardware in the field. Online, it all looks the same. And then we could expand using our latest and greatest sensors and telemetry, etc., so that they could expand nationally and help the farms that weren't currently doing soil moisture monitoring. So the experienced guys could look online and consult internally to the farms that were needing to learn how to do this. And so it's a system that they're very happy with, and we're expanding with them.
Awesome. Yeah, and for the kind of the less technical listeners to this out there, when we talk about telemetry, what we're really talking about just the communication system that exists in the field that communicates the data from the root zone of the crop, which is where we have our soil sensors, up to the cloud, and then we apply our machine learning, artificial intelligence to that, and then deliver information insights to the customer over the GroGuru InSites, which is a very intuitive, farmer-friendly user interface that the farmer can access on their cell phone or their tablet or their computer. And one of the beauties about GroGuru InSites is there's really two users for that data. One is the agronomy consultant, which is the precision ag specialist, they call it in our world. And the other one is the end customer, the farmer. So Dave, maybe you can just elaborate a little bit on that in terms of kind of those two users and how we truly have developed at GroGuru an enterprise level solution that really is great for both of those kind of constituencies. Sure.
So that's the beautiful thing about having data online. So it's whether it's on your laptop, it's on your phone, it's on your iPad, it's data in your hand anytime, anywhere. And so if I'm a consultant and I'm wanting to add my knowledge to a customer, I can do that in my own time and make changes to the like tweak the graphs or tweak the settings, and the farmer will see that in his own time. So if I'm a consultant and I'm sitting up late at night, I can keep things running. The farmer gets up at 5 o'clock the next morning and he's looking at it. It's the same data. They're working on the same platform, but it's just really intuitive and easy to use. And so everyone's in sync with each other. And then, of course, with what Farouk has developed with the artificial intelligence, we're doing a lot of the heavy lifting. So these consultants are busy people. And so they've got hundreds of sites to look after. And so we're doing a lot of the day-to-day calculations, if you will, looking for the signatures in the data and presenting that so that the consultants and the farmers can just go to the part that matters and not miss anything important. So we set up seasonal irrigation templates. So that's a roadmap on how to put the right amount of water on at the right time. And then we make sure that we stay on track all the way through the season, so nothing is missed. And we just take people in the right direction. They grow higher yields and better quality with less water.
That's awesome.
And less fertilizer.
Less fertilizer is big right now, for sure.
Sure.
So Jeff, I want to just touch base with you on one item related to the wireless underground system. We now are entering our 4th growing season for the WUG system, the wireless underground system. How are you seeing that work relative to our expectations? We talked about a 5-year battery life. We talked about, the robustness, the durability of the solution. We talked about, not needing to recalibrate probes every single year because you have a permanent install instead of annual install and removal. How are we doing, and kind of have customers validated, some of those key things that we had promised?
Yeah, well, when I started, working with GroGuru, I would have I would be amazed at where where we are at now. We started with a minimally, product viable, requirement. We've exceeded that by huge leaps. And so we're able now to communicate well over 10 meters. And in reality, all we need is something on the order of 3 to 7 meters, typically. We're able to do that very, very low power, so that we can use completely, battery powered designs that can stay in the field for considerable periods of time, well over 5 years. That helps eliminate solar panels. While that has come down in cost, it certainly is an extra hassle, and having to have the lead acid batteries and all the mounting, particularly in taller crops, that's a real drawback. And in orchards, it's a killer, because you might have to be 40 feet above the ground. That's a really expensive mast to put up. So the low power is really, really helpful to us. And we've had very reliable communication from below ground to our above ground, relay unit. And that's worked very well in the field and has been proven out. And we continue to make, significant improvements in the technology. We're in the process of rolling out two-way capabilities. And so instead of just transmitting from below ground to above ground, we can now go both directions, which allows us to turn on a lot of new features for the users, such as, configuring the reporting interval. We can change that now for the below ground sensor. We can do very quick catch up of stored and logged data when our units are out of the field. And that two-way also allows us to now start developing our mobile applications. So now we can start putting our above ground receiver, instead of on a mast in the field, on the center pivot or a drone or any other mobile object that goes to the field. So that really allows us to now have everything off the ground. So from the farmer's standpoint, it's completely benign to his daily operations. He doesn't even have to think about these sensors. And that's very, very different than what's currently going on, where sensors have to be cabled and they have to be put in and taken out every year. It's a huge logistics challenge, and it poses a lot of damage opportunities for that cable to get cut or gnawed by rodents, and it really chews time. And it gives us data now all year round, potentially. And it gives it to us, seamlessly from the farmer's perspective.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, we really have seen it from the customers too, where it's interesting because a lot of the reasons why the farmers initially deploy the wireless underground system, the WUG system, is to get out of that annual install and removal treadmill. And for those of you that haven't followed GroGuru closely, the state of the art when we entered the market was in annual field crops like corn and soybeans, cotton, wheat, sorghum. You planted the crop, and then once the crop pops out of the ground, which they call that crop emergence, you have about a 4-week window to get the soil sensors in the ground, these cable-based soil sensors. Then you got to go through a couple wetting cycles before you can calibrate them, and then you can use them. Then prior to harvest, you got about a 4-week window to get them out of the ground. So obviously you see that this is very cumbersome, very expensive. It happens when farm labor is most scarce, and it's not very scalable. So what we did with the wireless underground system is we developed a solution that you can permanently install in the crop, bury it below the till depth, and then the farmers just farm over the top. And this is now it was a proprietary, now patented technology. So we have the fundamental patents granted around the wireless underground system, and maybe I think another 2 or 3 patents pending around that technology, around two-way and some of the other kind of cool features that Jeff was just talking about. But we have about a 30x improvement in scalability, because we now have a 5 or 6 month window to do the install, and you only have to do it once every 5 years. But that alone is huge. But then you're not having to roll a truck twice a year. You're not having to calibrate sensors every year. So in year one, that's why most people are converting and using GroGuru. But as David can attest to, in year 2, once they have 1 year of data, they're like, oh my gosh, I can even do better in year 2 because of the combination of permitted install and the cool stuff that Farouk's done from a machine learning, artificial intelligence standpoint, where they can say, okay, we can now better manage pre-season irrigation, the amount of water they have to put in the ground before they actually even plant the crop. how much winter snow melt did they have, freeze and thaw cycles, all sorts of stuff that really benefits the farmer. But I don't want to steal all Dave's thunder, but David, why don't you talk a little bit about that, what farmers are really seeing and why they're excited in year 2 with the wireless underground system.
Sure. So I just thought I'd point out, just behind you, Patrick, and your background, or behind me and my background, we call those row crops, right? And so at some parts of the year, you've got bare ground, stubble, and other times you've got crops growing. And so I've been doing this for over 25 years, and it used to be that, yes, as Patrick said, you had to wait till the crop was there, then put the sensors in, and then go like hell, and then pull them all out, and it was crazy. You didn't get very good data, but people still did it because it's so valuable. And so spending lots of money, lots of time and effort to get this incredibly valuable data. Whereas now we can collect data or do an install once, every 5 to 7 years, and take our time whilst doing it. But the big thing is, right now, for example, down in the Panhandle of Texas, there aren't really any crops planted yet. Here we are in the middle of April. They'll generally start in May, even late May, but they're all irrigating right now. And why are they irrigating? Because the ground is dry. It's been dry over the winter, and these guys need to know how dry it's been. So they want to have sensors in there where traditionally they wouldn't have sensors in. So that's a big win right there. And then when they're irrigating to fill up that ground, now you've got the sensors in when you need them. And you can also carry that forward from year to year to year, so you know exactly where you are. You've just got a gas gauge out in your field, and that's well calibrated. And some of the farmers out there, some of our customers actually started irrigating back at Thanksgiving last year. They've been going all winter, and when it gets really cold, they might stop because things freeze up. But generally, they've been running, and that's what they have to do these days, because the wells have dropped off so much. They're really struggling to stay in the game, and this has become absolutely critical for them to know exactly what's going on down deep where you can't see it. Because let's face it, all the water gets into a plant through the roots, and that's where all the magic happens. And it's underground, where normally it goes unnoticed.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I remember back in spring of 2019 when we first started working with pivot track systems, Carlisle Holland down in the Texas Panhandle. For those of you that don't know, pivot track has over 1 million deployed acres of center pivot control systems. And I think about a year and a half ago, they got bought by Valley Irrigation, the largest center pivot manufacturer in the world. But we were looking at Carlisle's screen, and this is before there was even any crop in the ground. And I don't know, 50, 70% of the center pivots were turned on, and they're just watering the bare ground. And I asked him, I'm like, why are they doing that? And of course, David jumped in to explain and said, they can't keep up with the crop during the growing season. They don't have enough water available to actually get the maximum crop yield. So they actually have to put stored water into the ground pre-season. They call it pre-season irrigation. That's why they call it that. And that allows them to get a better crop during the growing season. And prior to the wireless underground system being installed, the farmers were just flying by night. They just had to guess how much pre-season irrigation to apply. And now they know exactly how much, because there's already soil sensors in the ground. So it's been a real game changer for them. And I've heard figures as much as, an additional 10% of water savings in year 2 versus year 1 in center pivot. And in drip irrigation, it's actually even a little bit better than that. So, the farmers are loving it. We've got great feedback, great customer testimonials. We're developing some awesome case studies. So it's exciting stuff. Farouk, we talked a little bit about machine learning and artificial intelligence. Can you maybe touch a little bit more on that in terms of what you and David have worked on, him from the crop science standpoint and you from the data science standpoint, and what we've developed that makes the solution so much better than what's out there from the competitive alternatives?
Sure. The data collected by these sensors have been used by agronomists like David in the past to provide various recommendations to the farmers, such as how effective have their irrigation decisions been, how effective has the root growth been? You just don't, I mean, I'm sure David will have a lot more to say about this. You just, as I understand, you just don't go ahead and irrigate willy-nilly. You got to have a strategy in case you want to increase your yields, the crop yields. And that's how, by applying irrigation strategically, you convert water into money, as David likes to say. So what machine learning brings to the table is, now we have collected all this data, and with the works, we have a lot more data. We have data all throughout the year, and we can then identify the patterns that help us make various recommendations to the farmers, patterns that will help us figure out whether the irrigations have been effective or how effective have the irrigations been, patterns that will help us determine whether the roots are growing according to how they should be growing in case you want to increase your yields. And that's where, working with David, we identified these patterns and then had these algorithms, the machine learning algorithms, create models from these patterns so that we can, in an automated fashion, provide a David to each of those farmers without the farmer having to pay David a salary, annual salary, or whatever it is. We would have a lot of these Davids plus additional information to all these farmers that are using the GroGuru platform. And that's where, what you asked me a while back, those using the GroGuru works definitely benefited a lot. And those not using the GroGuru works could also benefit, because we could apply some of the insights we had with the works data to the non-works data also. Anything that you would like to add to that, David?
No, other than the actual value of this. I mean, some of the studies have shown, and individual farmer anecdotes tell us that it's worth over $100 an acre. And you know, considering that the cost of ownership of this is a fraction of that, it's probably only less than 20%. There's a massive, and that's in year one. Ongoing, the total cost is probably 10% of that. It's huge value, and we're seeing uptake. And so it's a good thing. Farmers need it. The area needs it, and you know, we're here to work with them. So it's exciting times.
Yeah, that's awesome, David. I mean, David kind of both, you know, this is one of the things I love working with this team, because everybody's so humble. But I mean, Farouk's like one of the world's leading experts on wireless communication systems and data science. Jeff Campbell, you know, over 30 years of experience in soil sensor technology, PhD physicist, really an expert on developing, you know, the near field communications technology around the wireless underground system. David, probably, you know, one of just a couple handfuls of people in the world that are really experts on irrigation agronomy. You know, Vince built out, you know, a ton of different sales organizations, rep organizations in the tech industry, now taking that expertise into ag. And then they joined me along for the ride. So I just love working with this team. I think we have just a massive opportunity, and, you know, really excited about it. I mean, one of the things that was, I mean, I've been running tech startups for over 20 years now, and been in the tech industry for, gosh, over 35 years now. So I've seen a lot of ups and downs, you know, business cycles, you know, navigated an IPO through the Great Recession of 2008, you know, been through a bunch of different ups and downs from a macroeconomic standpoint. And COVID was definitely one of the tougher times we had. And that hit right, you know, as we were starting to really start growing the company and deploy the wireless underground solution. So our revenues were relatively flat from 2019 to 2020, but we believe the market shrunk by maybe 25, 30%. So we think we gained market share in a down market, which is what you want to do. And then we started growing revenues again in 2021. I think we grew revenues by about 25, 30%. Still not kind of where we were pre-COVID, but definitely a nice bounce back. But even more importantly, we doubled our subscriber base from 500 software as a service subscribers, SaaS subscribers, to over 1,000. And we're expecting to double again this year. So Vince, maybe talk to us a little bit about how we're doing that. You know, we've got, you know, I guess 250 end customers, and, you know, over 4,000 sensors deployed, 1,000 different sites. You know, what are we doing from a channel standpoint to really kind of continue to grow at that rate, and then even grow at a more significant rate over time?
Yeah, what we've done is that when we first we're really deploying this technology, our wireless technology, or even our software. We did a lot of what you have to do as a younger company, a lot of door-to-door sales where we were going from farm to farm. But that's back when we were less than 50 sites managed, and we quickly grew to 300, and then we grew to 500. And as Patrick mentioned, we've hit over 1,000, and we've done that we have some large direct type customers, but primarily the growth has been with our dealer network. We have some really good dealer partners that are leaders in their industries in different regions, leaders in the Lubbock area, leaders in the Panhandle and North in those regions in Kansas, and even in Central California where there's a lot of farming. But it's been really with having some good partners. And we're really just at the beginning of that. As a smaller company, and when you're growing, you can only bring on so many partners at once because each of those partners needs training. Each of those partners needs to understand how the software and hardware works. So our growth can be just 2, 3, 4x these next 2 or 3 years because you've really streamlined on what we have, and by having partners in these regions, it's really taken us to the next level of the right partners, and they're doing a fabulous job. So we're continuing to grow year over year.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, if I look at kind of the deployments we have today, 1,000 software as a service subscribers is about 100,000 acres under management, but our existing customers represent about 1 million deployable acres, and our existing dealer network over 5 million deployable acres. So we already have a lot of the pieces in place, but David and Vince are out there pretty much every day, not only training our existing guys, but bringing on new big customers over time. So definitely an exciting time for us. So I mean, we're running out of time here. Maybe if you guys could just give your 1 or 2 minute summary about what you're most excited about, what you see kind of our biggest challenges are, and what we're doing to address those over the next couple of years. David, maybe we start with you.
Well, as I said, the challenges are real. Farmers are up against it, with fertilizer prices, with water going away, etc. So they can't afford to not be efficient. And this is the one single tool that can really bring it all together. I mean, the only way you can get water and nutrients into a plant is through the root system. So you have to measure it, just like a doctor measures inside, using X-ray or ultrasound or MRI, whatever, to diagnose, how to make people more healthy. Same goes for irrigation management. You need to look inside the root system, and every time we do that, we help farmers become way more successful. They save water, they make money, they save fertilizer. It's good for the environment, it's good for the farmer, it's good for the country. And so I couldn't think of a better thing to be doing right now.
Drew?
Yeah, it's the whole increasing world population having to increase the amount of food production, minimize the food wastage, and GroGuru is at the right intersection of helping the farmers increase the food production, helping the country, helping the world, and all that stuff. That's the big opportunity. The downside in some sense is people are still not aware of the risks that we are facing out here and what we need to do in order to address this problem. And by the time people become aware of it, it might be too late. So we need to have people start paying attention to this problem, people in the technology space building solutions for this. And GroGuru has built a awesome, good solution that provides data to the farmers that helps them use the water resources very efficiently while producing a lot more, while increasing crop yields for the given amount of water used and all that stuff. So that's how I look at it. Big opportunity, a lot of risk in terms of the attention being given to this area, and GroGuru is at the right space in order to make a difference in terms of what we can do to feed the world.
Yeah, and I think obviously there's going to be a day of reckoning, but I think the day of awareness hopefully precedes that, like you said, Farouk, because there is nothing more strategic than fresh water and nutritious food. We literally can't live without it. And water's getting more scarce, and food security is very important. You look at the stuff happening right now with Ukraine and Russia. I mean, that's a global disruption in terms of food supply, and the things that we're doing are so critically important. I mean, they were critically important before fertilizer prices doubling. They were critical before, some of these global events are happening. So I just feel like we're doing really good stuff and really important things. And it's one of those things that's just going to continue to get more and more important over time. Vince?
Yeah, I'll kind of add to that. So what excites me about this is we are truly running out of water. I mean, let's face it, I don't care where you live, if you look at the primary regions that grow the majority of the food, especially for the United States, it's Central Valley of California, and it's the whole Texas Panhandle up into Nebraska. And those two key regions, they are running out of water. So being able to contribute and provide, a value to farmers, it's really exciting to be able to do that, especially, having a background of tech where myself and Patrick and we provided a lot of better TV service and faster Wi-Fi for people, but that's great. But actually doing something to really help the environment by, food. Everybody needs food, and we're running out of water, and we're able to. It's exciting to be able to be part of that, to be able to help people, grow more food with less amount of water. And there's nothing more important than that, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, my key focus going forwards is to continue to expand the WUGS technology such that it can address more and more applications, particularly the mobile applications, as well as continue to build out our IP portfolio and our patent protections on our hardware. The WUGS is one of the key discriminators between us and competitors. It's one of the hardest barriers of entry for somebody to surmount. So keeping that moving target and making sure that's always improving on all sorts of things: performance, power usage, size, integration into sensors, all those kinds of things are key to keeping us, hopefully many steps in front of any competitors.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I'm most excited about is really the stage of the business where we're now at that, and I think it's an inflection point. It's really around, we have now established, what I would call product market fit. We've got customers that have been using the product for over 3 years. They love it. The customer feedback is spectacular. They're seeing that 10 to 20% increase in crop yield, 10 to 20% savings on water and other inputs, fertilizer being one of those kind of more expensive inputs now. And we've built out our dealer network. We've established a lot of customer relationships. We've established a lot of awareness around GroGuru. I mean, we need to do more of that. But that's really what we're raising money for at this stage of the company, is really to kind of continue to fuel that growth and, continue to build out our training, continue to build out our sales tools, continue to build out two-way WUGS that gives us the mobile version of that, reducing cost of the system, increasing our market penetration. And there's, 70% of the world's fresh water supply is used for agriculture irrigation, and we have to increase the amount of food by 70% by 2050 just to keep pace with population growth. So obviously the math doesn't work, and even with a 30 to 40% improvement in water efficiency that GroGuru provides, there needs to be other technologies brought to bear in this space for us to really, avert this crisis that is looming. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the call, one of the things that we've done as a company is, work through a platform that democratizes venture investment so that anybody, you don't have to be a millionaire or accredited investor to invest in GroGuru. You can just be the average person that wants to invest in startups. We're doing that through a platform that's called WeFunder. And if you go to wefunder.com/GroGuru, you can see our invest page there. We're excited about what we're doing. We're good stewards of the land. We're good stewards of your resources. And we hope that you make a decision to join us on this journey. We're obviously very excited about it. And we think we're doing good stuff for the world. And we have an opportunity to really build a great company here with a great team and some great customers and great partners. So hopefully you'll make the decision to join us on this journey. With that, thanks a lot for your time and attention, and we'll catch you the next time. And if you do have any questions, definitely, we're going to post this on the WeFunder page. So wherever we post this, if you do have questions, definitely shoot us an email, make comments. Would love to hear your feedback. That's how we continue to learn. Thank you very much.